1968, a date forever etched in history. On this day, America lost one of its most influential leaders. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated while standing on a motel balcony in Memphis, Tennessee. His tragic death sent shockwaves across the nation and the world. Hey there, history lovers! This is James, and welcome to the Flair Chronicles channel. Today, we're diving into a pivotal moment in American history, the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Trust me, some of these will have you questioning reality itself. This might be new to you, as it's the first time you'll hear about these facts. But before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell icon, so you never miss out on the latest in history discoveries and more. All right, let's get into it. Martin Luther King Jr., a leader of the American Civil Rights Movement, expanded his efforts in 1968 to include economic justice in opposition to the Vietnam War. This broader focus led him to Memphis, Tennessee, where he supported African-American sanitation workers striking for better wages and working conditions. On April 3, 1968, King delivered his famous "I've Been to the Mountaintop" speech at the Mason Temple in Memphis, reflecting a sense of foreboding. The following day, April 4th, King was staying at the Lorraine Motel. At 6:01 p.m., as he stood on the balcony outside room 306, King was shot by a single bullet from a Remington Model 760 rifle. The shot, which hit him in the jaw and severed his spinal cord, led to his death at 7:05 p.m. at St. Joseph's Hospital. He was 39 years old. The assassination triggered national mourning and riots in over 100 cities, showcasing King's profound impact on the nation. A massive manhunt ensued for James Earl Ray, who was captured 2 months later in London. Ray pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 99 years in prison, but later recanted, claiming he was set up as part of a larger conspiracy. Despite investigations and theories suggesting otherwise, no conclusive evidence of a conspiracy has been found. King's legacy endures through significant civil rights advancements and annual commemorations on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, reflecting his lasting impact on the fight for justice and equality. Immediately after the shooting, Martin Luther King Jr. was rushed to St. Joseph's Hospital. Emergency medical teams and doctors worked tirelessly to save his life, employing every possible measure in a desperate attempt to stabilize him. Despite their best efforts, the damage from the bullet, which had entered his jaw and severed his spinal cord, was too severe. At 7:05 p.m., Martin Luther King Jr. was pronounced dead. The room fell silent as the gravity of the loss sank in. News of King's assassination spread rapidly across the nation and the world. The shocking announcement interrupted regular broadcasting, with networks urgently delivering the tragic news. We interrupt this program to bring you a special bulletin. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the leader of the nonviolent civil rights movement in the United States, was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee this evening. This single announcement echoed through homes, businesses, and public spaces, causing an immediate outpouring of grief, disbelief, and outrage. People gathered in streets and public places, some in mourning and others in anger. The sorrow was palpable and the sense of loss profound. As the news of Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination broke, cities across the United States erupted in riots and demonstrations. The anger and despair felt by millions of Americans manifested in violence and unrest. In over 100 cities, buildings were burned, stores were looted, and the National Guard was deployed to restore order. The nation was in turmoil, and the scenes of chaos highlighted the depth of the grief and frustration that had built up over years of racial injustice and inequality. In the hours following King's assassination, President Lyndon B. Johnson called for a national day of mourning. He addressed the nation from the White House, urging for peace and calm during this turbulent time. President Lyndon B. Johnson, "I ask every citizen to reject the blind violence that has struck Dr. King, who lived by nonviolence. In these difficult days, it is imperative that we maintain the principles he fought for and strive to continue his work through peaceful means." Johnson's words were an attempt to heal a wounded nation, but the immediate impact of King's death was overwhelming. The civil rights leader had been a beacon of hope for millions, and his loss was deeply personal for those who had been inspired by his vision and leadership. In cities large and small, people gathered to honor King's memory. Churches held vigils, community centers hosted discussions, and individuals reflected on the impact of King's life and work. His widow, Coretta Scott King, and their 4 children were thrust into the national spotlight, bearing their grief while becoming symbols of resilience and strength. Meanwhile, the search for King's assassin was underway. James Earl Ray, who had been staying in a boarding house near the Lorraine Motel, fled the scene immediately after the shooting. An intense manhunt ensued, with the FBI launching one of the largest investigations in its history. Ray's fingerprints were found on the rifle used to kill King, as well as on a scope and binoculars. This evidence, combined with witness testimonies, confirmed Ray as the prime suspect. Ray managed to evade capture for over 2 months, traveling across the United States, Canada, and Europe, using multiple aliases and fake passports. His journey took him to several countries, including Portugal and the United Kingdom. Ray's ability to stay ahead of the authorities highlighted his cunning and resourcefulness, making the hunt even more challenging. The breakthrough came on June 8, 1968, when Ray was finally apprehended at London's Heathrow Airport. He was attempting to board a flight to Brussels, but his fake Canadian passport raised suspicion. British authorities detained him, and he was soon identified as the fugitive wanted for King's assassination. Ray's capture was a significant relief for law enforcement agencies worldwide. Following his arrest, Ray was extradited to the United States to face charges. The evidence against him was overwhelming, and on March 10, 1969, Ray pleaded guilty to the murder of Martin Luther King Jr. He was sentenced to 99 years in prison, avoiding a potential death sentence. However, Ray later recanted his confession, claiming he was set up as part of a larger conspiracy to kill King. This claim fueled various conspiracy theories, suggesting involvement by different groups and individuals. Despite multiple investigations, including a 1979 report by the House Select Committee on Assassinations, which suggested the possibility of a conspiracy, no conclusive evidence has ever been found to support these claims. Ray spent the rest of his life in prison, dying in 1998 from complications related to kidney disease and liver failure. His death did little to quell the lingering questions and doubts surrounding the true nature of King's assassination. Back in Memphis, the Lorraine Motel quickly became a site of pilgrimage for mourners. People from all walks of life gathered to pay their respects, leaving flowers, letters, and other tributes to honor King's legacy. The motel itself would later be converted into the National Civil Rights Museum, preserving the memory of King and the movement he led. As King's body was transported back to his hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, preparations for his funeral began. On April 9, 1968, a crowd of over 100,000 people gathered to pay their final respects. Dignitaries, activists, and ordinary citizens alike came together to honor the man who had given his life for the cause of civil rights. The funeral procession was a somber and powerful sight. King's casket was carried on a simple wooden farm cart drawn by 2 mules, symbolizing his commitment to the poor and downtrodden. The procession made its way through the streets of Atlanta, eventually reaching Morehouse College, where King had attended as a young man. There, he was laid to rest in a modest grave, inscribed with the words, free at last, thank God Almighty, I'm free at last." In the wake of King's assassination, the civil rights movement faced an uncertain future. Many wondered if the momentum built over the previous decade would be sustained without its most prominent leader. However, King's death also galvanized the movement, inspiring a renewed commitment to the cause of racial equality. The immediate aftermath of King's assassination saw a surge in legislative activity aimed at addressing the issues he had fought so passionately for. Just days after his death, Congress passed the Fair Housing Act of 1968, a landmark piece of legislation that aimed to eliminate discrimination in housing. This act was seen as a direct response to King's assassination and a testament to his enduring influence. In addition to legislative changes, King's death also led to increased efforts to combat poverty and promote economic justice. The Poor People's Campaign, which King had been planning at the time of his death, continued under the leadership of Reverend Ralph Abernathy. This campaign sought to address the economic inequalities that King had long argued were at the root of racial injustice. The assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. also had a profound impact on the psyche of the nation. For many, it marked the end of an era of innocence and the beginning of a more turbulent and uncertain time. The loss of such a powerful and unifying figure left a void that would be felt for years to come. However, King's legacy endured. His philosophy of nonviolent resistance and his vision of a more just and equitable society continued to inspire new generations of activists. The civil rights movement he had helped to lead became a model for other social justice movements around the world. In the years following his death, Martin Luther King Jr.'s contributions to the fight for civil rights were increasingly recognized and celebrated. In 1983, President Ronald Reagan signed a bill establishing Martin Luther King Jr. Day as a federal holiday to be observed on the third Monday of January each year. This holiday serves as a reminder of King's enduring impact and the ongoing struggle for equality and justice. Thank you for joining us as we delved into the tragic assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a leader whose legacy continues to inspire and guide us. King's untimely death marked a profound moment in history, but his vision for equality and justice lives on in the hearts of millions. What do you think about the theories surrounding King's assassination? Do you believe James Earl Ray acted alone, or was there more to the story? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video informative, please give it a like and share it with others who might be interested in learning more about this significant chapter in American history. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of our future deep dives into history's most pivotal moments. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.